Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Samasta Jan Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena gratitam Purana Muninam Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitam Ritavarshini Bhagavatim Ashtadasha Dhyayani Amba Tvam Anusandadami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshini Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavai Vedai Sangha Padakramo Panishadai Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyana Vasthita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantam na vidut sura suragana Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha. Om Shri Ganeshaya namaha Om Shri Saraswatyai namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo namaha.
Thank you.
Thank you. So in this beautiful 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which contains the highest knowledge of the Upanishad, Bhagavan Shri Krishna has made it in such a way that all of us are able to understand it and relate to it. And because of Arjuna's question, Bhagavan first explained that this whole, whatever we perceive, this whole universe is kshetra. Not only this, but this body, mind, intellect, vasanas, desires, all minds, all intellects, all vasanas, whatever is perceived is kshetra. It is that which is known. And the knower is the consciousness within which Bhagavan says that I am. Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi. And then he explained what this kshetram is. We already described the whole list. And not only what we perceive, but what are the reactions. If I see something I like, I get happy. If I see something I dislike, I become sad. So all the reactions are also kshetram, and the knower is the consciousness within, which has been explained by various rishis through the Vedas, through the Upanishads. And then Bhagavan from there switches to the jnanam. And what is jnanam? Not that which is to be known, but using which I can reach that which is to be known. So there he gives the 20 beautiful values, amanitvam, adambitvam, etc. All these values, when I practice, then my mind becomes quiet, ready for knowledge. And it is very important to purify the mind so that the knowledge will stay. Otherwise, it does not have any effect. So it's not only I should study, but I should in the world apply this knowledge. Then only this knowledge will become firm. Just as in a science experiment, what you do in the lab, then they say, okay, now let's go out and try it in the real world to see if this product you have made, does it work when it's used by hundreds of people or thousands of people. So same way, this knowledge which Bhagavan Sri Krishna gives us, we have to apply that in the world. And then we heard those somewhat difficult concepts from 13 to 18, where they said this consciousness, it is directly quoted from the Upanishads. It is neither existent nor non-existent, either neither Sat nor Asat. It enlivens all senses, but itself does not have any senses. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, mouth, hands, feet, everything work because of consciousness, but itself has no senses, no parts. No, it is avibhakta vibhaktechu. Even though it is everywhere, appears divided, that between me and you and the dog and the cat and the bird, there are different consciousnesses, we think, but Bhagavan says, I am one, appearing divided, just as space is one, but appears divided in the room, in the hall, in the pot, in the cup, in the box. So similarly, one consciousness appears divided, and it is that which is the light of all lights. Every light that we see is enlivened by that one, whether it's the sun, the moon, the stars, lightning, even the lights in the room, everything gets its ability. Even the lamp, the oil, where does it come from? The ground. And who made that? That was Bhagavan. So whatever we are enjoying, everything is coming from that. So that's what he says. And that is the creator, sustainer, and destroyer. The world is created, sustained, and destroyed. So Bhagavan says, I am Brahma, I am Vishnu, and I am Mahesh. So all I am, and that's why Neyam, that's why you should know who I am. And I am stationed in the heart of all. Hridhi sarvasya vishtitam. You don't have to go very far to look for me. You don't have to go to Vaikuntha or Kailash or Brahma Loka. I am in your heart as life, as consciousness. But our problem is we look outside. That's why in the Upanishad it says, Paranchi khani vyatrinat swayambhu tasmat paran pashyatina antaratmana. He says that the creator, the Lord, created these senses to look outward. Eyes to look out, ears to hear outside, smell, taste, touch. And so that's all we do, spend our life in looking outside for joy, by getting this object or by seeing this or hearing this or touching this or tasting it, I will get joy. And we don't look inside. He says, that's why nobody looks inside where I really am. Kabir ji said, "Moko kahan dhoonde re bande, main to tere paas." So God is with us at all times, and that is what is to be known. And Bhagavan says, once you know this, you come to me. Mad bhavaya upapadyate. Such a person reaches me, becomes one with me. So that is the benefit of studying this knowledge and applying it. We come to know who God really is, and we come to experience his presence inside and out. That's what we will be studying on Tuesday in Ishavasya Upanishad, where that one Isha is everywhere, all pervading. It will be on the same 12:30 to 1:30. If you are interested, on Tuesday on the same link, we will be starting Ishavasya Upanishad. So now we'll start with verse number 20. So chapter 13, verse number 20. Lata, may please repeat. Prakritim purushan chaiva.
Prakritim purushan chaiva.
Vidyanadi ubhavapi.
Vidyanadi ubhavapi.
Vikaranscha gunanschaiva.
Vikaranscha gunanschaiva.
Vidhi prakriti sambhavan.
Viddhi Prakriti Sambhavan.
All together. Prakritin Purushan Chaiva Vidyanadi Ubhavapi Vikarancha Gunanschaiva Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan. So here Bhagavan is starting a new topic, which is what is Prakriti and what is Purusha. That was, so four Bhagavan has already covered: Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Jnanam, Neyam, which Arjuna had asked six. So two are left. So Bhagavan has not forgotten Arjuna's question, even though you and I, we have. Oh, that was 6 weeks ago he asked. Abhi kisko yaad rahega? But Bhagavan has not forgotten. He, thank God, he still remembers. So that's what he says. Prakriti, Purusha. So there are two technical terms, Prakriti and Purusha. Cha eva, and indeed, Vidhi. Vidhi means know them. Anadi, beginningless. Adi means beginning. Anadi means without beginning, beginningless. Api also. So know that not only God is Anadi, beginningless, not only Brahman, but even Prakriti and Purush are also Anadi. How? We'll talk about that. Ubhav. Ubhav means know both of them to be beginningless. And what does Prakriti do? So we'll talk about Prakriti, and then in the next two verses, he will talk more about Purusha. So he says, what does Prakriti do? Vikaran. Vikaran means all modifications, all changes, from childhood to middle age, to youth, to middle age, to old age and death. A plant, becomes a big tree. All modifications, children are born, whatever modifications, buildings are built, old buildings are destroyed, they destroy old buildings, create new ones. All modifications are from Prakriti. We'll talk about that. And Guna. Guna means the Gunas, qualities, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. This will be discussed in great detail in the 14th chapter. The whole chapter is called Guna Vibhaga Yoga. But briefly, we will cover that today. So he says, Vikara and Guna cha eva also Vidhi, know them to be Prakriti Sambhavan. Prakriti means, Prakriti is a technical word, we'll understand what it means. Sambhavan means they are created out of Prakriti. So any modifications you see, any gunas you see, anything that is changing, anything that is known to me is all Prakriti. Even my mind, not only the visible world, but my mind, my intellect, my desires, my vasanas, my deep tendencies, everything is born out of Prakriti. And all space, all planets, even all the worlds, whether heaven, hell, it's not known to me, but it is known to some beings, right? Indra knows heaven. So all those are all born out of Prakriti. Only the knower, the consciousness, one is Purusha. So here we talk about Purusha and Prakriti. In the 7th chapter, Bhagavan had called this my Apara and Para Prakriti. Apara means lower, Para means higher. So in the lower Prakriti, we had talked last week also, there are 8 elements: air, space, fire, water, earth, mind, intellect, and ego. Ashta, Bhinna Prakriti, Rashtada. And in Raman Maharishi says, Ashtamurti Brit. So there are 8 aspects which create this entire universe. Manifest, unmanifest. That's why he had listed Mahabhutani, Ahankara, etc. So all that is seen, all that is even not yet seen, unmanifest, vasanas, the creative faculty, all belongs to Prakriti. And Para Prakriti is what we call as Purusha, the consciousness, the Lord. Purusha here does not mean man. It means like, what in Purush Suktam, what is described as Purusha, the supreme consciousness. But when it is called Purusha or when it is called Para Prakriti, when it identifies and gets conditioned by this world. So conditioned by the individual, it is called ego or Jivatma. conditioned by the totality, Maya, it is called Ishvara. So this one consciousness, Brahman, functioning through the individual, identifies as I am this limited, and through the totality is Ishvara, the creator, sustainer, and destroyer of this universe. Not only this universe, Karoda Brahmand, crores of millions and billions of Brahmandas are there all over, and all are created and sustained and ultimately perish. And as they are manifestations of Ishvara, the Lord himself, the Lord is Anadi, so Prakriti is Anadi and Purusha is Anadi. What it means is that we don't know when creation started. When was the first time? No, this has been so many times. Universes are created, sustained, and they merge back into it. And then again, everything starts. So we don't know what, even before time was, even before there was any idea of time, this creation was there. And it is as Prakriti and Purusha, which is called as matter and spirit. In modern language, in English, we say matter and spirit, and we are all a combination of matter and spirit. So body, mind, intellect, even body is matter. The mind and intellect is subtle matter, but it is still matter. The vasanas are causal, but it is also matter. It is only the knower, which is the spirit. And Prakriti creates this entire beautiful cosmos. That's why you say Prakrshena Kriti Yogatvat iti Prakriti. One that creates all this beautiful variety. Look at fish. There are thousands of different varieties of fish and birds and insects. They say there's billions, so much more insects than humans. Humans are only 0.5% of the entire creation. Even though we think we are 7 billion and we think we control the universe, we are only 0.5%. 99.5% of jivas are not humans. So all this variety is created by Prakriti. Just as what is the Prakriti of gold? So that I know very well. Gold makes necklace. Gold makes necklace, makes bangles, makes, all these ring and anklet and bracelet, and all these different varieties are Prakriti of gold. So similarly, Prakriti is the one that creates all this beautiful variety which you and I experience. And who is Purusha? Puri Shayanat iti Purusha, the one who dwells in this city of 9 gates. Navadware Pure Dehi Naiva Kurvan Karyan. Bhagavan says in the Bhagavad Gita that this Puri, this liver, the one and livener, lives in this city of 9 gates. What are the 9 gates? 7 are on the face, 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, and 1 mouth. And then the excretory organ and the reproductive organs, which are 2 below. So 9 gates, this Purusha lives. And this gate is a beautiful city. And you and I are king and queen of this city, of my city of 9 gates. And in this city, it is very well protected by skin. And if any bacteria come in or any viruses come in, there are antibodies which are created. There are, white cells which go and destroy that. So beautifully, this city is maintained. The whole body is created, and then in 7 years, it changes. The red cells are made. The excretion is happening. The kidneys, everything is working beautifully. So you and I are the king of this city of 9 gates. Another way Shankaracharya ji describes in Drigdrishya Vivek, that all of us are made of 5 elements, 5 aspects, you can say. So one is gross body, subtle body, and causal body. Gross body is what we can see. Subtle body is mind and intellect. Causal body is vasanas. So that is 3 that we know. Then there is something called conditioned consciousness, which is also called as the knower of the field, also called as kshetragnya. It is also called as, the Purusha. It is the conditioned consciousness. There is a total consciousness, which we call as Brahman. But when functioning through the individual, appears to get conditioned, appears to get limited. And that's our misery, that is our sorrow, our foolishness, that even though our true nature is infinite, Brahman, divine, I think myself to be this limited jiva. So this conditioned consciousness, when it thinks I am this useless little fool, then it gets conditioned. But when it thinks I am that unconditioned consciousness, then it is free. So the choice is ours. Do you want yourself to be a limited creature, or do you want yourself to be that supreme reality? So it is what you identify with. That's what we do in meditation. We say, I am not the mano, buddha, hankar, chitta, ninaham. I am not the body, mind, intellect, vasanas, chidananda rupaha, shivoham, shivoham. So based on that, the Upanishad say, tattvam asi, you are that. You think you are this body, but in reality, you are that divinity who mistakenly have thought yourself to be this body. And that's what they say. But it's not that Purusha and Prakriti are something separate, or Brahman is separate. One Brahman, one consciousness alone has expressed as Purusha, Prakriti. So all these modifications you see are superimpositions upon that one. So one has taken on all these forms. So that is called the whole creation, where this one consciousness takes on these forms and then gets deluded. That is our foolishness. That's what the scriptures tell us. That's what Bhagavan says. You are not this body, this limited being. But Brahman is actually not conditioned by this. That's why Bhagavan Shri Krishna in the 15th chapter, he says, Uttama Purushastu Anyaha. That Brahman is actually separate from all these, appears to be functioning, but in reality, it is separate. It is all pervading, but it is not conditioned. So when something happens to me, nothing happens to that consciousness, which is called Uttam Purush in the 15th chapter. And that Paramatma, that Uttam Purusha, is actually the knower. It's not even the knower. In that absolute, there is no knower and known. This whole knower and known is a drama, is a play, is a movie that, I will send it to you, is a drama, a play, a movie that is happening. But actually in that absolute consciousness, the world is not even there. It is just a play that has been created for you and me to enjoy. So just as there is a total knower, in me also there is the subject, which consciousness, which creates, like I create thoughts. The thoughts are created, then they die. The emotions are created, sustained, and die. Now I'm very, very happy. And then I become very, very sad. And then I become very angry. So an angry person is created and destroyed. A happy person is created and destroyed. A suffering person is created and destroyed, an enjoying person. So I create within me this world also, where my body is constantly changing. My internal world is changing. My external world is also changing. Like I was born in India, went to college, and then we came to New York. So I left my India world and created a world in New York, where we stayed for 8 years in New York State. So that was my second world. And then from there, we moved to Bakersfield. So here now we have created a new world, where we are living in Bakersfield, and we have this Chinmaya mission and friends and family and everything. So just as the consciousness creates the external world, I create my internal world of thoughts, emotions, and objects. And I collect all things. I collect my house and my car and my children and my grandchildren and dogs and cats and all the things that we collect. So all belong to the individual. And so we said vikara, all anything that is modified, that is changing, is matter. Anything that is changing, anything that I know is matter. The knower is the one, the consciousness. And so that's what he says. All vikaras are born of Prakriti. Now, what are gunas? Gunas will cover in very brief today. And then, as I said, the whole 14th chapter will talk about gunas. But there are three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Most of you know it, but very briefly. Tamas is ignorance, laziness. Rajas is activity. And sattva is purity or knowledge. So ignorance, activity, and knowledge. How can we put it in our day-to-day experience? Like in a house, here we don't have basements, but in the East Coast, people have basements. Those of you who lived on the East Coast. So in the basement, you throw all your junk, all your garbage is thrown there, all your extra stuff.
We have garages.
And here we use garage, but in the basement, it is damp, it is, dark, it is humid, and unfinished, and there all we throw our junk. So that is tamas, where all the junk is stored. Then the main floor is rajas. Rajas is where all the activity happens, where I cook, where I eat, where I meet my guests, where I do all my activities on the ground floor of the house. Everything is done there. I have my living room, I have my TV, I watch TV, I have my all that. And then on the top floor is where I rest, my bedroom and my study, where I go to rest or to study. So that is sattva. So ground floor, the junk is tamas, activity is rajas, and then purity is sattva. Another way to explain is ice. When ice is in a solid form, that is said to be inert, not moving, and that is tamas, where there is no movement. Then when the ice melts into water, water can move. Like when you see in the river, there is a huge river, water is moving at such force, that is rajas. And then when the water becomes into steam, nowadays we don't have steam engines, but I remember in the 50s and 60s and 70s, they used to have steam engine where the steam was created and had a lot of power to drive the engine and pull the train. Now we use coal or electric. So ice, water, and steam represents tamas, rajas, and sattva. And what is the goal of life? Very briefly, I will say that from tamas, you go to rajas, then you go to sattva. So from the basement, you go to the first floor, ground floor, and then you go to the second floor. So I am very tamasic individual. I am lazy. So Vivekananda says, go out and do something, go out and work. Uttishta jagrata, go out and work. So that is rajas. But then from rajas still works with selfishness. I and I want. But sattva is, they still work, but they work unselfishly. Or slowly they withdraw from work and spend more time in study, meditation, in abiding in the truth. And they say you need to go beyond three gunas to that which is kutastha, that which is the substratum, that which is the consciousness. So that is the whole goal of life. From tamasic, you become rajasic. From rajasic, you become sattvic. And then ultimately you go to that state of consciousness, which is beyond all gunas, which Bhagavan calls Uttama Purusha. So they say sattva creates sukha, rajas creates dukha, and tamas creates mudha, ignorance. Why rajas creates dukkha? Because whatever I acquire sooner or later will give me sorrow. And tamas, of course, is laziness, uselessness. But sattva is pure knowledge. It is unselfish activity that creates sukha. So prakriti, now if you try to translate prakriti, there is no English word that can equal prakriti. Prakriti is a unique word. Some people say nature, some people say creative faculty, some people say matter, some people say that variety, but all of those words cannot explain prakriti. So you have to use prakriti as prakriti. We don't try to translate. Like Windows, in the computer, Microsoft Windows, do you try to translate that? Somebody says open Windows, you say, oh, jaake khidki khol. You don't say that. Why? Because Windows, like in Gujarati, what say barnu kholwan? You say, what do you have to say that in Gujarati? Yeah. So, barnu kholwan. So you don't say, you don't translate. You say Windows kholwan. That means open the windows in your computer. Or mouse. You don't say chuhe ko hilao. You don't say move the mouse, you know. No, I mean, so these words, you don't try to translate into other languages. You use them as it is. So they say, don't try to translate Prakriti, use Prakriti as it is. So we have talked in detail about Prakriti and little bit about Purusha, but the next two shlokas will cover in more detail what is Purusha. So verse number 21. Karya Karana Kartritve
Karya Karana Kartitve
Hetu Prakriti Ruchyate
Hetu Prakriti Ruchyate
Purusha Sukha Dukkhanam
Purusha Sukha Dukkhanam
Bhoktritve Hetu Ruchyate.
Bhoktritve Hetu Ruchyate.
Together. Karya Karana Kartritve Hetu Prakriti Ruchyate Purusha Sukha Dukkhanam Bhoktritve Hetu Ruchyate. So Karya Karana. Karya means effect. Karana means cause. In some readings of the Bhagavad Gita, it is said as Karya Karana. So when Brahmananji, when he chants, if you listen to his chanting, he says Karya Karana. So we'll do both Karana and Karana. So Karya Karana means cause and effect, Kartritve. So when there is a creation, anywhere there is cause and effect, there is Prakriti. So if there is seed and there is a tree, that is Prakriti. So Karya and Karana Kartritve, when this is done, when this happens, Hetu means cause. Prakriti Uchyate. Prakriti is said to be the cause of all cause and effect. Karya Karana. Wherever anything is created and there is a creation and creator, that is all Prakriti. Karya Karana. Creator means not as creator as Bhagwan, but when I say create a part, or when I make something, or or when I make a mistake, then that is all Prakriti. And then Purusha, and who is Purusha? Sukha Dukkhanam. Sukha Dukkhanam is the sixth case plural. So of all joys and sorrows, Purusha is what? Bhoktritva, is the enjoyer. Hetu Uchyate, it is the experiencer, the enjoyer, or the sufferer, it can be. It is the cause of all experiencing, whether it's joy or suffering. It is Purusha, is the experiencer. So Karana, how is this world created? So they explain it very beautifully that first only the Brahman alone, spirit was. And in that, there cannot be any creation because that is all pervading. It is all spirit. There is no matter in it. There is no impurity in it. So for creation, what do they do? I was reading it very beautiful. He said that in that Brahman, a little bit of passion was introduced. And that passion created the total energy, the entire cosmic energy, which we call as Mahat Tattva. It's a technical word where this cosmic energy was then created with the introduction of little impurity. Just as in milk, if you put a little bit of yogurt, then the whole yogurt is created next morning. So similarly, Mahat Tattva was created. And then from Mahat Tattva came Ahankar. Ahankar means not the individual ego, but the total ignorance, which was the first manifestation of matter. And from that came the Pancha Mahabhutas, the apanchikrit Pancha Mahabhutas. Those of you who are doing Tattva Bodh will know that before these five elements become manifest, they are unmanifest. And they're also called tanmatras. And then from that, then comes the, when they all combine together, then air, space, fire, water, earth are created. And then all the gross bodies, subtle bodies, causal, everything is created. So some people call it as 13, some people call as 18. So 5 sense organs, 5 organs of action, and then 5 elements, that is 15, mind, intellect, and ego. So whatever impulses come into me, I'm seeing or hearing or smelling, like you are hearing this talk, it goes to the mind, and the mind collects everything from all here, what I see, hear, smell, taste, touch. And then there is the intellect, which is the deciding factor, which says, this is useful, I should remember, or this is useless, I should not remember, or this is boring, I've already heard it, why is he talking again? So all the judgments come in the intellect. This is nice, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad. And the intellect then tells the mind, okay, now, it's time to go to sleep. I'm not enjoying this talk. So then the mind, okay, so jao. Or otherwise mind might say, no, this is something interesting, we need to learn. So the intellect gives instructions to the mind, and everything functions because the ego is there. The individuality is there, which is the which is the ignorance. Not knowing my true nature, I think myself to be this ignorant individual. And based on what is predominant, those kind of bodies I get. So they say that, I think that will come in the next shloka, what kind of bodies I get, what kind of births. But all the different bodies are created. And then also the instruments. What are the instruments? Karya, karana, we decided, cause and effect. Karana means instruments. Instrument means that which controls everything. Like you build a house, you have built walls and you have built a roof and floor and all that, tiles and everything. But then you need electric wiring. Then you need pipes for bringing water. That is the infrastructure. Then you need an internet connection. You need Wi-Fi. So that wiring, that pipes, all those are the infrastructure. So in the human being, you can call it as the nervous system, which controls everything. So that is karana. Those are the instruments through which I function. And everything is inert. This body is inert. This mind is inert. You say mind is not inert. Mind has so much activity. No, mind, intellect, everything is inert. It is only because of the presence of Purusha that it becomes alive. And it becomes the enjoyer. So when I find something I like, then I become very happy, aha, itna maja aa raha hai. And if I find something I dislike, I become sad. So matter itself cannot function. It needs Purusha to function. That's why this computer cannot say, I've heard this talk before, yaar, why don't you stop talking? Or computer might say, I have been listening for 1 year. A half hour I will talk, half hour you will talk. No, computer cannot say that because computer is inert. Or this chair I am sitting on, and we are all chair, will say, yaar, you have been sitting on me so long, it hurts. Why don't you get up and move? No, chair is inert. Computer is inert, even though it looks like artificial intelligence and all they say, but it is actually a human being intelligence that is called Purusha, that even creates that artificial intelligence. So that's why Purusha is the Bhokta. Bhokta hetu ruchyate. So any enjoyments I have or any suffering I have, it is the Purusha who knows. So something good happens, I'm happy. Something bad happens, I'm unhappy. But you need the consciousness. That's why a person, when he's dead, previously even a little pinprick hurts. But once the Purusha is not functioning, you put them in 500, 600 heat oven and burn it. He doesn't complain because he's gone. Or they burn him in the fire, or they bury him under the ground. And the poor guy cannot complain. Because why? Because there is no Purusha functioning. It is only matter. And matter you can burn, you can bury, you can do whatever you want. It has no ability to function. But Prakriti functions under the control of Purusha. That's why Bhagavan says, Devi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. Mamevaye prapadyante maya metam taranti. He says it is my Maya. So Bhagavan is the controller of Maya. He's the controller of Purush, of this Prakriti. So Purusha as the consciousness controls Prakriti. Without consciousness, Prakriti cannot function. Without consciousness, I cannot speak, you cannot listen. And then again, Bhagavan says, Maya Dyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam Hetu Nanera Kaunteya Jagat Viparivartate. He says, whatever you see, the world is revolving, world is functioning, people are born, people are dying, all new creation is happening, highways are being built, and then people are going to Mars and moon and space. All that is happening under my control. Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. All animate and inanimate, moving and unmoving are all created by Prakriti, but I have to be there. I means the consciousness. Bhagavan says, only in my presidency, Maya Adhyakshena, when I am there, when I am present, just as when a president is there, then the whole cabinet functions. Defense secretary and secretary of state and commerce all function because the president is elected and then president appoints all of these. So Bhagavan says, I appoint Prakriti to create all this whole universe. Maya Adhyakshena. So that we have to remember very clearly, that I am under the control. So the more you identify with spirit, the more you are able to control your thoughts, your actions. Otherwise, my mind is just running and my actions are going. So they say, watch, stay as a witness. I am the witnessing consciousness. In my presence, this world is functioning. That's what Bhagavan says. Prakriti alone is doing. Karmaneva karmani. Who is doing? Prakriti eva. So, but I am the consciousness. In my presence, this Prakriti is functioning, but I control what my body does, what my mind thinks. Not that, oh, I don't know, my body just decides I want to eat this. I have no control on my mind. I have no control on my body. I have no control on what I do. Why? Because we identify with the body. If you identify with the consciousness, then you say, okay, this is right, I should do. This is wrong, I should not do. This is what I should think. This is not what I should think. So if Prakriti dominates, then this person becomes useless. But if Purush dominates, that's why in Sankhya Yoga, they say Prakriti and Purush are both equal and they are both. But Vedanta says, no, Purusha is supreme. And from that Purusha, Uttam Purusha, came Prakriti. So that is the difference between Sankhya Yoga and Vedanta. So here, that is what we have studied in Shloka number 21, that Prakriti is the one that is the cause and effect of everything. But for the enjoyment or for the experience, you need the presence of life or consciousness, which we call as Purusha, call it as Kshetragnya, call it as Para Prakriti. There are all different names given to this. Yeah, so that is the ultimate cause and from which everything emerged. We'll do verse number 22. Purusha Prakriti Sthohi.
Purusha Prakristho hi.
Bhunte Prakriti Jan Gunan.
Bhunte Prakriti Jan Gunan.
Karanam Guna Sangosya.
Karanam Guna Sangosya.
Sadasadyo Nijanmasu.
Sadasadyo Nijanmasu.
Together. Purusha Prakriti Sthohi. Bhunte Prakriti Jan Gunan. Karanam Guna Sangosya. Sadasadyo Nijanmasu. So where does Purusha stay? Purusha Prakriti Sthaha. He means indeed. So where does Purusha reside? In this body. In this, that's why he says, Navadware Pure Dehi Naiva Kurvanna Karyan. So this city of 9 gates, this body, in this Prakriti, Purusha resides. Even though Purusha consciousness is everywhere, inside and outside, but when it functions through the individual, it appears to be conditioned, appears to be residing in this body. So Purushaha Prakriti Sthaha, stationed, he means indeed. Bhunkte, bhunkte means experiences, enjoys, suffers. What? Prakriti Jan Gunan. All gunas, Prakriti Jan means created by Prakriti. So it's not that there is Prakriti and then it creates gunas. Prakriti itself is three gunas. Prakriti is all three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Together, this whole universe, everything is Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. I am Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. The mind also can be Sattvic, Rajasic, or Tamasic. And also the desires can be. That's why in the 17th and 18th chapter, Bhagavan will tell us how we can have Sattvic desires, Sattvic food, Sattvic activity, Sattvic thoughts. And then what is Rajasic and what is Tamasic is all explained in detail in 14th, 17th, and 18th chapters. So Purusha Prakriti Sthohi Bhunkte experiences all the gunas which have appeared because of the Prakriti. And Prakriti itself appears as these three gunas. In fact, this whole universe is three gunas. And then what is the cause of suffering? Why do I suffer? Why do I have problems? Why do I say, you know what, my life is so miserable? What is the karanam? What is the cause? Guna Sangha. Attachment to these gunas is the cause of all suffering, whether it's physical suffering, mental suffering, emotional suffering, intellectual suffering is due to the attachment of these gunas. And why do I get attached? Because of ignorance. So we'll talk about ignorance and attachment. And then because of that, Sat, Asat, Janma, Yonisu. Sat, Asat, Yoni. Yoni means wombs. So good and evil wombs, the individual is born because of that. So you say, you mean the womb is good or evil? No, the womb is the same, but the individual who manifests in the womb can have either good vasanas or bad vasanas, can have good desires or bad desires, good karmas or bad karmas. So based on my vasanas and based on my karmas, I enter a particular womb. And in that particular womb, in that particular household, and it could be in that particular yoni, like from a human, I might be born next life as a buffalo, you know, or as a mosquito, or as a dog, or a cat, or a lion. Or I could be born as a devata, you know, I could be born as Indra, or as Varuna, or as Vayu. So depending on my karmas and depending on my vasanas, I take different births. So Sat, Asat, Yoni, Janmasu, that is seventh case plural, in different wombs, I manifest, this individual manifests based on desires and karma. So they say the parents, they don't give birth to the child chooses the parents, you know, which kind of yoni, whether I should be born as a buffalo, or I should be born as a cow, or whether I should be born as, you know, a celestial musician. All that depends on my actions. The karma and karma phala. So who is this Purusha? Purusha is not somebody else sitting somewhere and functioning. It is me. I, not as the individual, but I as the consciousness. When I identify myself with this individual, I become Jivatma. When I identify with the consciousness, I become that consciousness. So it is me, but not me as the Anil or as Lata or as Harsha, but I as the consciousness. The Om, that's why in Gurudev's BMI chart, Gurudev has Om and then Vasanas and then BMI, PFT, OVT. I'm sure you all remember. So the Purusha is that I, which stationed in Prakriti becomes the Bhokta, becomes the enjoyer or sufferer. So as we said, any activity, any impulses that come can give me joy and sorrow only if Purusha is functioning through me. So in reality, Purusha is required for any activities to happen. Anything that is happening in this world is because of the presence of Purusha in this body. But what happens is, why do I suffer? Because I do not know my true nature as Purusha. I think I am this body and then I get attached. Oh, my son, oh, my wife, my house, my property, my bank balance, my 401k, then my position, my power, my country, my nationality, my race, my caste, all these things I get attached to. My dog, oh, that is the biggest attachment, is the hardest to give up. My dog, my cat. Nowadays, kids have this new fashion. Everybody is keeping dogs. I don't know. It's okay. You can't criticize because there might be a lot of dog lovers here. So I'll keep my mouth shut. But that has become another source of attachment. Everybody wants to keep dog. All youngsters, I don't know. But anyway, so what happens is that we get attached because we don't know. I do not know my true nature. And because of that, I get attached to objects and think objects will give me happiness. As long as this person is in my life, I'll be happy. Or my child doesn't call me, I'm unhappy. If he calls me, I'm happy. If he's doing fine, I'm doing fine. Why even bother? ठीक है, as long as everybody is fine, everything is going good. If they call, very good. प्यार से बात करो. If they don't call, I'm still fine. Don't have to get happy, unhappy just based on a phone call. ठीक है, if they call, you talk to them very nicely. If they don't, if they are happy, I'm happy. So it is ignorance that causes attachments. And that is the cause of births, different births. As I said, if you have done a lot of sattvic karmas, next life you may be born as a devta or as a celestial musician. If you have done a lot of bad karmas, then next life you will be born in some lower womb. You will be born as an animal or an insect or a dog or a cat, or if you have had a lot of violence in your life, next life you will be born as a lion or a tiger and you will be running around killing deers. But if I have a mixture of good and bad, they say, welcome back to earth. So that's what happens. Most of us, nobody is extremely good or extremely bad. We are a mixture. So you come back to earth. And then in the earth, they say we have so much variety, which parents you want, which country you want, which kind of body you want, whether you want male body, female body, you want to be a musician, you want to be a dancer, you want to be a singer, you want to be a speaker, you want to be a scientist. So all those choices are given to us. Infinite variety of bodies are available. Not only that, but even in the individual, if we see within our day, in the morning you wake up, you are very sattvic, you are meditating, Chidananda Rupaha, Shivoham, Shivoham, Brahma Tattvamasi, Bhavayatmani, all those good thoughts. And then we start working. Then we are in the morning, we are in Sattva, then we are working, we are in Rajas. And night, we are in Tamas. Yara, I'm tired now. Let me sit down and watch a movie. So 9 o'clock at night, we put on a movie until 12 o'clock, we are watching. And that is Tamas. Or somebody takes a couple of drinks. So what we are saying that throughout the day, you can go through Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So based on that, that is what decides what my activities are. So what they say that as much as possible, stay in Sattva, do Sattvic activities, reading, studying, helping others, unselfish work, sharing, whatever I have. And what they say that I am belongs to Purusha, but I am this body belongs to Prakriti. Nobody says I am this body. You say, I don't say I am this, but don't you say I am young, I am old, I am man, I am woman, I am doctor, I am engineer, I'm lawyer, I'm mother, I'm father. So I am belongs to Purusha, and whatever else you add on it, that belongs to Prakriti. So if I say man or woman, that is Prakriti. Father, mother, it is Prakriti. Happy, unhappy, it is Prakriti. I am is the one. So stay as I am, not I am a man, I am a woman, I am an engineer, I am a doctor, I am old, I am young, I am happy, unhappy. Just I am. Just be. That's what all the masters tell us, all the Upanishads, even the new teachers like Eckhart Tolle and all these teachers, they all tell us that. Shankaracharya ji and Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda say as I am. So he said, that is too high. This talk today, Anil ji, was too technical. Mujhe kuch samajh nahi aaya. People might say it was too high. Why it is so high? Because some of us just showed up in 11th chapter or 12th chapter and 13th chapter. We have been talking from 3rd chapter, 2nd chapter. Bhagavan says you have not studied 2nd, 3rd chapter. You say, but I was not attending classes. So that's what we say, buy this book. Whoever attends these classes must buy these 18 chapters. It is, only $25 or $27. And this actually is going to last us for another 8 or 10 years. So if you don't have this book, please get it. You can get it from Chinmaya Mission. You can get it online. You can meet Neeru at 4 o'clock. She has in the office. And everybody should regularly read. So sadhana is very important. If you haven't had a chance, because in this Gurudev does word by word meaning, has gone into detail, has given very nice commentary. So regular reading is very important, and start from the beginning, from 1st chapter, Arjuna's confusion, and then how Bhagavan answers and all that. So regular sadhana, not only study, but then karma yoga, do some service, do bhakti, sit in front of the Lord and chant his name, do the mala. So karma, bhakti, gyan. So sadhana is required and the complete knowledge is required. Then the knowledge will become clear. They say, this is too much work. So what will you do? I'll just sit with my eyes closed. I won't do anything. I'll do it later. Later, we never know when is later. It's like a cat, it's very interesting. If you have a bowl of milk and you have a cat in the house, she'll come and drink the milk. And then you say, who drank the milk? She'll sit with her eyes closed. That means I'm not watching anything. That way nobody is watching me. That's our idea also. We sit with our eyes closed. We say, I'm not going to do anything because it's too much work. But without work, there will be suffering. So that's why instead of Bhagavad Gita and Purush and Prakriti, they should give a title, How to Remove Suffering or Highway to Success. If you put those names, then people will buy CDs, they will buy the books, they will buy Bhagavad Gita. But because it is Purush and Prakriti, we say, Sanskrit mein hai, it's too hard. That's why people go for these books, 7 laws of success, 7 worlds of this and 3. That is all came from Upanishads, whether it's Wayne Dyer or Eckhart Tolle or any of these, teachers, all the knowledge has come from Upanishads. So we should directly go to the source, go to where Bhagavan himself has taught. So start, and our problem is we don't think. I'm so busy, I have so much work. And what is the work? 1 hour they will be on the computer, on their phone, or WhatsApp, how many messages I have, and then Facebook, how many likes I have, how many pictures, hours we spend, but we don't have time to study the Bhagavad Gita. So sit and study. You say, but it's too hard. Then they say, do satsang. If yourself you cannot study, then associate with saints. We have so many teachers who come. Now that mission will be opening in January. Swami Ishwarananda ji will be coming. So, and our satsang is also company like this, where we are all studying together. You and I, we are all seekers on the path. There is no teacher, there is no student. We are all co-seekers. I am as much, seeking as we all are. So together we can study. So study these scriptures and rename the Bhagavad Gita as Road to End All Suffering. Then, people will study it. So that is, they say, change the name. But of course, Bhagavad Gita is a beautiful name because it is songs sung by Bhagwan himself. But what I'm saying is all the modern thinkers use the same knowledge and repackage it. And then they sell thousands of books. But it's okay. It's the rishis. The knowledge came from thousands of years ago, and you and I are enjoying the fruits of that. So most beautiful shlokas were very nice description of what is Purush and what is Prakriti was given. And I thank you all for giving me the opportunity to share. Next week, Bhagwan will tell us more about what is the higher self, who Bhagwan really is, who am I really? He will tell us that. So we have a few minutes. Anybody has any questions, comments, please feel free to add, or anything is not clear.
Anil, one question.
Yeah.
Is Purusha referred in this couple of shlokas as that limited, no, conditioned
Yes.
Brahman, conditioned,
Yes.
and so when it becomes unconditioned, then we are with Brahman. Is that not what that
Yes,
meant?
actually, conditioned consciousness appears, unconditioned consciousness, Brahman, appears to get conditioned, and that is Purusha. That is Kshetrajna. Because Kshetrajna needs to have a Kshetra to know. See, when do I become a driver? When I have a car. If I don't have a car, then I can't say I'm driver. Then I am, right? But when do I become a driver? When I sit in a car. So similarly, the consciousness, when it functions through Kshetra, becomes Kshetrajna or becomes Purusha. When there is Prakriti, then that unconditioned consciousness gets conditioned as Purusha. So the field I have to, like, when do I become a cook? When I have a kitchen. If there is no kitchen, then I am. But when I enter my kitchen, then I become a cook. Or when I enter the car, I become a driver. When I enter the pool, I become a swimmer. So this unconditioned consciousness functioning through Prakriti is the conditioned Purusha. That's absolutely right. Also
So Prakriti is the reason for conditioning of Purusha, or is that both of them go together?
Both of them go together. That's how the whole universe is created. The absolute consciousness cannot experience.
Right.
Prakriti is required to experience, but Prakriti is enlivened by this conditioned consciousness.
That's
So
they call this unholy wedding.
Yeah, unholy wedding, unholy alliance of Purusha and Prakriti, which creates this world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the world is required because Prakriti is the creator of the world in the presence of Purusha. So Purusha and Prakriti together create this whole universe. That means matter and spirit, what in English you can call as matter and spirit.
And
so
then
matter is Prakriti and spirit is Purusha. Yeah,
Okay.
Go ahead.
And that word Purusha is specific to the conditioned.
Yes. But then also in Purusha is also used in Purush Suktam, then it talks about the unconditioned. So you have to know the context. Purusha can also be man. Purusha can be spirit. Purusha can be that supreme, Uttam Purusha. So you have to know where in Sanskrit, the same word, based on its, depending on where it is placed, it can have different meaning. So here in this particular chapter, it is the conditioned consciousness, spirit,
Thank you.
which functions through matter and creates the world. Thank you. That's a good question. Thank you.
Riomanil, it means Purusha is the cause and Prakriti is the effect. Because it started with cause and effect.
Yes, yes. Prakriti is the cause and effect, but it is enlivened by Purusha.
Okay.
Purusha has to enliven Prakriti, and then that's why when it's a, from a tree, when it becomes from a seed, it becomes a tree, or from a man and woman, there is a child. Huh? When from a man and woman, there is a child, or when a seed becomes a tree, then it is Prakriti functioning, but Purusha as the enlivening factor is required. Any other question? Kusum, you were going to add something. I thought you unmuted.
No, I think what Lataji asked the question, the page 101 at the bottom, it says, what is the Purusha by Anand Giriji and Shankaracharya ji.
Yeah. On the
So
bottom.
it's beautifully said, everything that you said. And that's all I wanted to say. But the gunas, I really
Yeah.
like the gunas, that we all have 3 gunas and we have to
Yeah,
go
it
more and more.
depends on which, but it is 92 in some of them. It is
I have
basically,
this book.
no, I also have the same book, but in my book it is 92. It depends on which edition, but it is in the commentary of shloka number 21.
Yeah, at the bottom.
Commentary of shloka number 21, it is in the bottom. So just look in that. Yeah, Purusha, Kshetrajna, Jiva,
Jiva.
Bhoktar are all same.
Yeah, so 3 jiva. And we have all these 3 gunas, which I think in next chapter you're going to do. We all have all 3 of them, but the aim of doing these studies and everything is to increase the sattva. So from tamas, rajas to sattva. And I think Guruji did in the Hamsa Gita, there are 10 factors he gave how we can increase the sattva. So I thought just mention it. If you have
Right.
the Hamsa Gita, like, the studies, meditations, work, time, place, all of these are important to increase the sattva, the diet and water and all those things.
Right.
So
right.
beautifully done in that Hamsa Gita, first part of it.
Right. What time of the day? What should I eat? Yeah, thank you. Anji, Gitaji, you have something to add? You can unmute, please.
I just have a kind of clarification I want. So this means like we are trying to reduce tamas and rajas and
Can you speak a little loud?
Okay, let me just, like we are trying to reduce tamas and rajas and become sattvic, but at the same time, it seems to me on our daily lives, we do some actions which comes under tamas, and we do some actions which comes under rajas. But the intention we put in there and how we do it, that makes it sattvic.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
important.
Because sometimes during the day we do sit and watch TV with the kids or do something or just, rest or whatever, like not doing anything, and the other time we are doing action like obligated duties and, other duties, or we are always moving. But at the same time, so this Rajas, Tamas, 3 gunas, we are acting on them on a daily basis, but what we should try to do is reduce them. We cannot totally get rid of them.
Right. No, activity is required. You have to work in the world. You have to get up, take a shower, you have to eat, so that is all activities, rajas. And then even for daily living, I need to go to the office to work, to earn, all those things are required. But as you said it very importantly, what is my motive? If my motive, any action I do, is it taking me towards spirituality or taking me downwards? And tamas we need at night to go to sleep. You need to have some amount of tamas. But the point is that what is the goal of my life? And that is very, very important. While I am working, if I'm working unselfishly, and of course we need entertainment. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, watch TV or go on Facebook or, WhatsApp. I also do that. We all need some, to entertainment. We need to go to a movie or need to go to a restaurant or a theater, which is fine. But what is the predominant activity in your life and how is it directed? The motive is very important. Same thing in diet. You can't all the time, they say, eat sattvic food. It's, you need to put some mirchi and some spices, go to a restaurant and eat something. So the point is that in life, you cannot just live continuously, but as much as possible, spend time in sattva and keep your mind with sattvic thoughts, unselfish thoughts, thoughts of love, compassion, kindness, giving, sharing, like that. So the action can be rajasic, tamasic, or sattvic. As you said very well, the motive is very important. Is I'm doing to help others or to selfishly or to hurt others? One is to do it to help others. Other one is just selfish action for me. And third one is to hurt others. Hurt others is tamasic. Selfishness is rajasic. Help others is sattvic. But in 14th chapter, Bhagavan will do in much detail this gunas.
Yeah, no, just like I just joined in when you were teaching chapter 13. So I do try to listen the lectures, Niklanandji, Swami Niklanandji's.
Yes.
But as I never heard and did this before, when I'm listening, I kind of understand it, but then later it just disappears. But I'm trying, I just keep, listening to these things. Yeah.
Thank you. Also, you can go to firstpower.info. If you click, write down first power, one word, .info, INFO, then all the 18 chapters, Tony is the one who logs in. He has been recording and putting them. So all the 18 chapters are covered in that website. Just put on your phone, first power is one word, first power, all small case, and then put .and info, INFO. And when you click on that, it will take you to our previous talks on all 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. You can start from chapter 1 and all the way. So any particular shloka you're reading from, say, Puja Gurudev, and if you need commentary, it is there. You just click on that and then go to that particular chapter.
Right now, I just have this big book. This is the book.
That is very good. That's good. Just read that.
And, this, this book, Bhagavad Gita.
It's by Swami Chinmayananda, right? The red one?
Yeah, this one, the red one is Swami Chinmayananda. Yes, this one is Chinmayananda.
Yeah. So that is good.
This is Swami Tapasyananda.
Okay. Yeah, whichever one you like reading, as long as try to find something that has word by word meaning. So if you can do that, but yeah, and then you can always listen. You go on Google, you go to Chinmaya channel. There are talks by all acharyas of Chinmaya mission on all chapters of Bhagavad Gita, which all follow the same method that we are using. And Neeru said I was a little strong today. So if anybody got hurt, I apologize. I didn't mean to be, but she said I was very strong. I don't know what, but if it is, I'm sorry. But I strongly believe in that. So sometimes I come across a little bit strong.
Yeah, it was almost listening to Swamiji.
I don't know.
But so one of the comments you made, Anil, today was like the kid makes the decision about the womb. And
Right.
I have heard that quite a few times, but I have not been able to find word to word. Is it in some of the Upanishads that tells us?
Yeah, it is in even here itself. He says that depending on the gunas, you choose the womb. Sadasad yoni janmasu. Even today, Bhagavan said in the 22nd.
Yeah, the 22. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and it is there in the Upanishads. I can look it up, but it is basically well known that depending on my karmas and depending on my vasanas, I choose a body where my vasanas will be fulfilled and my karmas. If I've done a lot of good karmas, I will be born in a good house. Even in the 6th chapter, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says that Arjuna says that if I die and if I don't reach enlightenment, then what will happen? He said, nothing will happen. If you have done a lot of good actions, I'll make sure you're born in the house of yogis, where you can continue your spiritual journey. So it is mentioned in many places that based on my karmas, and that's why in our house, we find we have 2 children or 3 children, and each one is so different from the other. One is musically inclined, one is good in computers, one is good in sports. So why is that? Why is all this variety? Because people have different vasanas, different desires. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the 8th chapter, it comes many times. The whole 8th chapter talks about birth and death and rebirth and reincarnation. In the 6th chapter, many places he mentions that we choose the family where our desires will get fulfilled. If I have a lot of desire to study music, then I'll be born in a house where from childhood, I will be encouraged to study music. Or if I have done a lot of, say, if I have, done bad karmas, maybe molested somebody or whatever, then I will be born in a home where these things will be done to me. So we choose our future. We are the architects of our future. So based on our karmas and based on our desires. So it is mentioned many places in the Bhagavad Gita itself.
Okay.
Even
And there is.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
so there is basically you make the kid who is getting born is making the call, not anything
Yes.
else.
Right.
Okay.
Right. That's why they
Ah.
say we are the architect. God is just the general contractor. I am the architect. I make my plans, but God carries them out. So architect, who is more important, architect or general contractor? Architect, right? So I am the architect. God says, I am just the general contractor. Whatever you desire, I give you. Whatever based on your karmas, I give you. I'm the karma phaladata. So humans have been given the freedom to choose. So even the kind of family I am born in depends on my actions. Like if I'm a male and I really wanted to be a female, next life I'll be born a female, or a female says, you know what, males have all the power. I wish I was a male. Okay, next life you will be born as a male. Don't wish for anything. Just say, I wish I was enlightened. That should be the one wish. And sooner or later we will reach. But thank you.
Great.
That's a good question. Does it
Thanks.
answer your question, Rajiv?
Yeah, I think so. I think there are few things around it, but I'll go back to chapter 8 and 6 and see what that is. But if you do find something in the Upanishad, that would be helpful.
Okay, I'll try to find something and send it to you.
Yeah,
Bhagavad
great.
Gita mein to I know for sure, but Upanishad mein I'll try.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, the Ishavasya Upanishad has this. I'll send it from the
Okay.
Ishavasya Upanishad. And we are covering that on Tuesday, where it says that what lokas you are born depends on your action. I'll send you that. Actually, if you look Ishavasya Upanishad, shloka number 2 and 3. 2 talks about karma and 3 talks about results of karma. Ishavasya. Google that.
Yeah.
Ishavasya Upanishad. And look in shloka number 2 and shloka number 3.
Good, thanks.
But I'll send you a picture of that. I'll
Okay.
send you a picture of that, which has that. Yeah, but
Okay,
it is
thank
there
you.
in all the Upanishads. It is everywhere there. That based on my actions, we get the results. So everything is perfect. There is no doubt in Bhagwan's world. It is all
Yeah.
one.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? Hanji.
Just as अभी आपने बताया कि the child chooses the family,
Right.
and if the person who dies and he or she has done bad karmas, as you just mentioned, molested or killed, why would that person choose the family where he will be molested and he will get?
Because
He would not purposely choose that to live that fight, relive that life.
no, choose means the karma phala he has to get. If I have done wrong karma, you have to get the karma phala. Then it is unwillingly. You don't have a choice. If you have done these karmas, you have to get the phala of that. So based on your karmas, you are put in a family where you will get those results.
So then,
the karma phala is, let's say if you put a mango, you will get sweet fruits. If you put lemon and you say, why am I getting sour fruit? I didn't choose. No. If you put lemon, you will get sour fruits. If you put bitter, karela, you will get bitter fruits. If you put mango, so the seed, the fruit will depend on the seed.
so even
So
if
it's not that you choose, you are unwillingly, you are taken there because of your karmas.
so that means even you choose the yogic family and yogis, still you will, something will happen that you will face.
Right. And you won't choose yogic family. If you have this passionate desire to enjoy life, you will not. Plus, if you have done a lot of bad karmas, you can't say, I want to be born in the house of, some great scholar and some great teacher or a professor. No, if I have done bad karmas, I don't have a choice. Karma phala I have to, it's like you said, if you put mango, you will get sweet fruits. If you put karela, you are not going to say, why am I getting bitter fruits? I didn't choose that, but you planted karela, so you will get karela. If you plant mango. So every karma has to have a karma phala, has to have a result. So choose means based on my past actions, I choose to be, and also based on my vasanas. on my desires. Whatever unfulfilled desires I have in this life, those will be fulfilled in the next life. So Bhagavan says, if that's what you want, okay, you'll have it.
Thank
So
you.
it's not that I choose a family, but because of my actions, it's like you have money in the bank and you keep spending, and then you say, I choose to be a millionaire. You can't choose to be a millionaire. You had money in the bank and you wasted it on all the other things. And then now you say, I don't have any money in the bank, but I choose to be a millionaire. Can you become a millionaire?
Somebody
No.
adopts me. Some millionaire adopts me.
If you win the lottery, yeah, that's very rare. But the chances of that. But the point is that, you can't choose, depending on your actions.
So it is action.
So, yeah, avasho, Bhagavan says in one place, avasha, without, uske vash mein nahi hai. Whatever karmas he has done, I have to give the fruits. Bhagavan says, I don't have any choice. I have to give you the fruit of, if you put your hand in electricity or in fire and you say, I choose not to get burnt, can you choose that? You say, I put my hand in fire, but I'm choosing not to get burnt. You put your hand in fire, you will get burnt. That is the karma and karma phala. You don't have a choice in that. You put your hand in the electric plug, and then you say, I don't want to get shocked.
Yeah, but some karma phalas come immediately, some take
Right.
time.
That's what you're saying. Karma phala, one comes immediately. You put your hand in fire, it burns right away. But you put a mango tree, the fruit will come after 10 years. And so some karmas will not come in this life. Majority will come. Some of them will carry into the next life.
That's why sometimes it's not explained.
So that's why a child in the same family, one can be a genius, other one can have Down syndrome or some mental, issues. So again, it is all based on previous karmas. So the parents are the same mother and father. Why one child is so intelligent and one child has, mental disability or physical disability? They could be born with missing leg or missing hands. All our karmas.
But in this case, sometimes the parents, I know somebody, and they just keep blaming themselves कि हमने ठीक तरह से ऐसा नहीं किया होगा, कुछ उनकी देखभाल नहीं की होगी, हमसे ही कोई गलती होगी. So that means it's not parents' fault. The child
No, it's not in giving birth, but then how you bring the child up, their parents have a choice. Once you have a child, do you teach him right things or do you teach him wrong things? That's what we say. Take your children to Bal Vihar and things like that. Give them the right knowledge. So there we have a choice. But yeah, the child birth, sometimes it can happen if the woman has smoked or taken drugs or drank a lot of alcohol, then the deformed children are born. Yes, so we have some choice in that, but very limited.
Okay. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kuto yamagnihi tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa suryamidam vibhati.
Sarvamidam vibhati.
Yeah, sarvamidam vibhati. आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की दिव्य रूप मूर्ति करुणा की आरती सद्गुरु की चरणों में उनके शांति समाए शरणागत की भ्रांति मिटाए पाप ताप संताप हरण की आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की आरती सद्गुरु की वेद उपनिषद गीता को गाया धर्म सनातन फिर से जगाया शुद्ध नीति प्रीति शंकर की आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की आरती सद्गुरु की सिद्धवाड़ी की तपोभूमि में नित्य विराजे गुरु हमारे भक्त हृदय आनंद स्रोत की
आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की, आरती सद्गुरु की। ओम श्री कृष्ण चंद्र भगवान की जय, श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रिये वा बुद्ध्यात्मनाया प्रकृते मत् स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखात् भवेत्। ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय, तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय, मृत्युमा अमृतं गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।
Thank you very much. Hari Om. See you next Sunday.